Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Authentic Talks. I'm really excited about today's show because I have an authentic talk, you guys, with a lady who is an author. She is an entrepreneur, an actress, as well as a world traveler. She is a speaker, a YouTuber. She also has her very own podcast. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and allow her to tell you a little bit about who she is. You guys buckle your seatbelts in. This is just a genuine, authentic conversation where we talk a little bit about everything. All right, you guys, please welcome Préity Üpala to Authentic Talks. Authentic Talks is all about authentic conversations. This show is all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and become your authentic self, then this is the podcast for you. And I am your host, Shanta. Welcome to the show.
Namaste, Shanta. Thank you so much for having me on your wonderful show. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm so excited to have this wonderful conversation with you.
I'm excited to have you here. Can you please share with our audience who Preity is?
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. So Préity Üpala is a former investment banker from Sydney, Australia, who is now in media, Hollywood, and politics here in Hollywood, Los Angeles. I do many things. I work in Hollywood as a producer. I also have my own radio show and my own news podcast. On top of that, I speak around the world on various topics ranging from geopolitics to spirituality to feminism and purpose. I am writing my first book this year. I write for various outlets as well, again, on a wide range of topics, including politics and conflicts, religion, peace, as well as spirituality. And my passions in life are spiritual pursuit and globalism, international travel. Whatever I do, I try to marry the two. And my dharma, I see as being able to uplift and inspire people through my work and my presence. I've been to about 100 countries, so I really see myself as a global citizen of the world. And I'm just being the most I can be in the world, and especially in these very interesting times. It's been a joy, I think, the adventure I've had here in America, and I'm just here to serve.
Wow, you have a very full plate.
Yes, very.
Sometimes whenever I do really short podcasts, I call them pod snacks. And what came to mind is like a pod meal.
Yes, yeah, but the 3-course, baby.
Yes, definitely a 3-course meal. You mentioned that you work in the media, Hollywood, politics, spirituality. Yes. What do you currently do right now as far as in Hollywood?
Good question. So as far as Hollywood is concerned, I won a scholarship a few years ago to study acting and film in New York. So that's what brought me out here from Australia. I was an investment banker in Australia, and I was deeply unfulfilled, and I had a spiritual awakening at the same time. So I pretty much had a career change when I was in Australia, and I traded the corporate world for creative arts. And, very quickly I won the scholarship, and I just bought a one-way ticket and came to New York. And then eventually I came to Los Angeles. I started off acting, TV, film, commercials, Hollywood, Bollywood, in all over the world. But then slowly I realized that I'm really an entrepreneur, and I'm really a creator and a producer. So now I'm developing my own show. I find that much more fulfilling. And I think my relationship with Hollywood has evolved over the last few years. I see it for what it truly is. And I also see my own path, I think, so much more clearly. And I think I know with my skills and expertise and gifts what I really should be doing in the world, and also what I should be doing even in this industry to begin with, because that's evolved, I would say, quite a bit. But because I live in LA, I'm really in the heart of it. And Hollywood is an excellent platform for the things that I do. And, the way that I do it is definitely with love and light, so that people can be inspired. And I think they see what I'm trying to do in sort of an uplifted way, I think. So there is no, there shouldn't be any divisiveness or any confusion about it. I think people should realize my intentions and just who I am and what I'm trying to do. So very much a part of Hollywood for now, open to where the world, the path that the universe has set for me, I guess. But I just get a feeling that I'm going to be in this industry for a long time.
So you actually went to do like commercials, and what is that like? You have to go through an auditioning type process?
Yes, it is fun. And I think the best way to treat acting in LA is, love what you do, and it's fun, and just be a good person and be a pleasure to work with on set. And trust me, you will be happy and you'll get booked and all that. And just have realistic expectations. It's a very challenging industry. Not everybody is going to be the next Tom Cruise. And it's really not what it's cracked up to be anyway. And I really think post-COVID, this industry is really going through a transformation for the better. I think there were many elements that were a bit unsavory and not very elevated, let's say. And I just find a lot of that sort of fading away. So I'm curious to actually see the new Hollywood. And it's going to take some time for it to really come back together, because I think we're not able to shoot yet, and we might not be for a little while, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the commercials go, I was very lucky. I actually booked a lot, and I've worked in 4 different continents actually. So it's been a very varied, diverse working resume. I think I have, and I also am a beauty pageant winner. Not that I had much interest in that, and I never thought much of it. I still don't think anything of it, but I did compete and win several titles in my life. So when I moved here to LA, I found out that it's kind of a big deal here. So I kind of was able to use some of these titles just to, I wouldn't say open doors, but I just think people here are so impressed if you say that you're a Miss something something for some reason. I don't know why. And they just kind of roll out the red carpet, which they did for me. And I'm like, I'm gonna take this. It's really very foo-foo, but hey, I mean, I'm the only Miss India International here in this room, so I'm gonna own it and make what I need to of it.
That's interesting. There's so many questions. When you said that it's unsavory, like, so it's not what we think it is, because we think that Hollywood and doing all of that seems so glamorous and like.
Well, that's what it seems like. And if people are believing that, then it means that they're actually doing a good job. So I think behind the scenes is quite different. So it's not glamorous as it's cracked up to be, in the sense that the product might look glamorous, like a shoot or a commercial or whatever, but the actual work, you might do like 15 or 14-hour days. Everybody is tired, they're irritable. It's, the shoot is very kind of very demanding, let's say. And if you do a TV show or a movie, it's even more sort of, I mean, you're kind of frazzled, you can't really do anything else. But that's just the on-set experience. I think when I was talking about unsavory elements, I was talking about several things. Number one is, of course, the sleaze factor. So I'm sure you've heard of the Me Too situation, the Time's Up campaign, this whole Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, all of this stuff has come to surface, in the last few years. And I think people are realizing just how corrupt and sleazy Hollywood always has been. And people would try to ignore it. But I think we've come to a point now where people don't want to ignore it, So there's that factor. And then the other factor is, I think before this pandemic, I just think that celebrities had some status in society, which, even though I'm sort of a celebrity in my own right, I don't know why they have been given this pedestal. I mean, you think about people like Kim Kardashian or these reality stars, Instagram influencers, especially the people on the periphery, let's say, of celebrityhood. I mean, why are we giving them this sort of platform, right? Who are they? What positive effect have they had on society? I can't think of one. But I think post pandemic, nobody cares about them. The last thing people care about is their lives and who they are. And I hope that that continues, because I think we have real heroes now in the world. Healthcare workers, some good politicians, the thinkers, the speakers, the authors, activists, just good people stepping up to the plate. And
Mhm.
we don't need these foo-foo people just for the hell of it. So I really do think that the content that Hollywood will produce now, they will be forced, I think, to come up with something a little bit more humane, because I
Mhm.
don't think they've really done that in the past, 50 years or so. Certainly, I haven't been inspired that much. So they will be forced to. I don't know if they're going to come up with the goods or not. I'm not so sure how much they have it in them. But people, I think, want different things today after this, this situation that we've just gone through.
I have seen a bunch of different things coming out that were just kind of eerie or disturbing.
Yes.
So what is your take on politics?
Very interesting question. So, for me, I am a geopolitical analyst and a political commentator. And it's not something that I was looking to do. I kind of fell into it. I stumbled across it, I think, but I am somebody who's very knowledgeable in these specific areas. So, I actually don't deal much with US domestic politics at all. I'm only involved in international politics, which is very interesting, I think. And what I found was Americans really are very insular. They only are knowledgeable and, quite frankly, only care about what's happening within the US. And most of them don't know what's happening outside in the rest of the world, and nor do they care, which is a bit alarming, I think, because there is a big world out there, much more eventful, let's say, than even this country.
How important is that?
I think it's very important. I think if this COVID has taught us anything, it's how connected we all are thanks to globalization. Also, how deeply entrenched we all are from the global supply chain perspective, right? So, something happens in China and the whole world stops. It's a domino effect. We never used to be like this 20, 30 years ago, but today the geopolitical situation is such that we are very connected in ways that I don't think we thought we would be, and I don't think we quite frankly want to. This is quite a risk to be this much deeply sort of interconnected economically and politically, where something goes down in some country and suddenly your economy is affected. That is not how it's supposed to be, because I just think that it's the likelihood of something negative happening is actually high, very high, and then we are very risk averse. We're quite vulnerable. The US is very vulnerable, and also I think people are forced to realize who their friends are, who their allies are. I think
Yes.
when I look at US foreign policy, because I'm an analyst, I speak and write about these things, and I kind of get invited to speak around the world. I always tell people I'm shocked at how atrocious US foreign policy is. They don't know who their friends are, and they don't know who their enemies are. What I've noticed is they keep um, abandoning their friends, and they're in bed with their enemies. This is what I've noticed. And I don't think they even know themselves sometimes, or they do know, but they're going to do it anyways for some great strategic move. I don't know what that is, and I don't know if even they know what that is. But it's sort of the rest of the world looks at some of these actions, and this is, by the way, consecutive governments. Say over the last 50 years, all all governments have done this. I don't think anyone has been better than the other. I'm not just talking about this administration, I'm talking about several, right? And across party lines. And it's just a failure to understand, I think, complex uh, situations in other parts of the world, especially conflicts and wars and things that they somehow got involved in, and they don't know much about it, but they're deeply involved, and they're making a lot of wrong moves. They're getting either they're getting wrong advice, or they're getting good advice but not acting on it. They're going ahead and doing something else. So I often write and speak on these issues. It kind of baffles me, but that's the US for you, you know.
Who would you say is our enemy?
Good question. You know, this US has a history of, I don't want to say proxy governments or proxy wars, but it supports sometimes these tin pot kind of dictators in, Middle East and subcontinent, for example. They have some strange allies, and they have some strange adversaries too. For some reason, they consider Russia and China. I can understand. I can totally understand China, but they look at Russia and Iran. This is from the Cold War period, because right from the Cold War, they took a stance, and they were very anti, it was US on one side, and it was, Soviet Union on the other. So, and then when the Soviet Union broke, you ended up with Russia, and still they're very kind of against them. I think they have a history, they have an antagonistic history with Russia, but I just don't see Russia as the threat that they think it is. It's much weaker, to be honest, than it appears to be. China actually is much more dangerous, as we have seen. But they do see China as an adversary, so that is good. But they still continue to be entrenched, I think, economically and in so many ways. Another example is Iran. So Iran is an interesting one, because Iran is not a good guy in the global, like in the Middle East. It's got some serious issues, and there is terrorism, terror elements, let's say, and they do have some interesting kind of bad governance, and their regime is very dictatorial and authoritative. However, I don't see Iran as this great threat, because they don't have nuclear weapons. They do support terrorism in some ways, but they're not hiding the terrorists. They're not, Osama bin Laden, right? This man was like public enemy number one. Well, he wasn't hiding in Iran, right? He was hiding elsewhere. To sort of, I think, look at Iran as like this bully number one, public enemy number one, is, I think, very dangerous, because in doing that, you actually ignore other bad actors. Now, you asked me who are the enemies. I think when you had that Iraq, the Gulf War and stuff, I think there were a few interesting Middle Eastern countries that the US supported that are problematic. But of course, I think the big elephant in the room, at least from my perspective, because I look at counter-terrorism and things like that, I would say it's Pakistan, because this is a country that funds terrorism. They train these jihadis and they give refuge. Osama bin Laden that's where he was hiding. They gave him refuge, and they're supposed to be a US ally. Now, the US has given billions to Pakistan over the last God knows how many decades, only to have their intelligence and their military sort of thwart our peace efforts in Afghanistan, for example, and other places. So this is a situation where they just keep giving aid and funds to this kind of terror nation, and all they do is just kind of thwart your peaceful intentions, and they end up killing your troops. But they don't see it. It's like moronic. And I just hope that at some point they wake up, because this is not sustainable. I think this Afghanistan war has gone on for too long, and they made so many poor choices in that 20-year period, and they don't seem any wiser. So it's sort of interesting and funny to talk about these things sometimes, but it's actually very sad, because they're dragging the rest of the world is getting affected by all of these events. So I pray that they wake up, and I pray for a resolve.
In what ways do you think the rest of the world is being impacted?
Well, the whole of the subcontinent region, for example, is now affected just because of the proximity. And, when you're talking about subcontinent, you're talking about 2 billion people. That's like 1/3 of the population. That is a lot of people to be involved. And don't forget, you have China and Russia also in that area, right? They're all involved. Afghanistan is famously, people say that it's the place where empires go to die. Nobody wins there. Everybody loses there, right? So everybody is somehow entrenched in a war that nobody should have been involved in the first place, and they were perhaps better ways 20 years ago to deal with the situation, not in the way that they've done it. And then in the Middle East, you look at what's going on, suddenly, again, it's hundreds of millions of people that are affected. The US has spent trillions, I think, doing all of this. And honestly, there's been no peace. I think there's more anger, more hate, more terror, more people dying. So they haven't realized root causes of some of these issues. And I find that they're not even willing to actually take the time to educate and inform themselves. I feel like they're just think that let's just keep giving money, let's just keep putting more people there and hope that we can just kind of put a band-aid on it. But it's I think it's just blood is overletting.
Well, first of all, I want to know, where are we getting all the money from? And then
Hmm.
second of all, we have so many homeless people here in the United States.
Yes.
I know that my mind thinks like about United States because I've never been outside the country yet. I have family that has, a sister who serves in the
Mm.
military,
Wow.
a son as well, and they've been all over the place.
Mm.
And I still have not had the opportunity yet. And so for me, my mind is like, I understand that there's like another part of the world
Yeah.
that exists. And whenever I hear about monies having to be allocated
Yeah.
in other countries, I'm like, oh my gosh, today when I was driving, I seen veterans who fought
Yes.
in a war
Yes.
homeless. And
Homeless.
it's like,
Yeah.
why are we not
Yeah.
taking care of
Yeah.
home?
That's true.
Yeah, and you've mentioned something. You said they still haven't figured it out yet of like what is best or something.
Yeah.
Well, look what's happening right now, like in the United States. It's like we still haven't been able to figure out how to treat people,
Yes.
and based off of the color of their skin. It's like,
Hmm.
there's people that still feel like because you're brown or because you're
Hmm.
black or because you're yellow, red or whatever, that
Yeah.
it makes them better. And like
Yeah.
everybody's going to be in for a rude awakening. And you said that you end up moving in spirituality. There is no such thing as color.
Yes. Absolutely.
Colorless. It's like not like, oh, okay, you're
Yeah.
this and that. I don't know. So if we haven't been
True.
able to figure it out.
Yeah. So I'll touch on all the points that you brought up. Firstly, the every country has a budget allocated for its defense, and it's usually actually quite a tiny percent. It's not some enormous amount, and the U.S. is well within its right. It must have a strong military and must be able to defend itself like every other nation must. So I have no issue with that. This money is coming out of economy itself. I mean, some taxpayer, but some, their own sort of federal reserves and whatever they have, because they haven't been involved in too many wars other than these ones. They don't have this huge debt like a lot of other countries collapsed. So and so it's okay to have to allocate funds. I think there's a mismanagement of funds other than this defense spending. Like the money for the homeless doesn't necessarily need to come out from the defense spending. There are other ways where there is a leaking, let's say. You don't have to choose. You can actually do both. This country is rich enough to everyone as well as defend itself. We have terrible politicians, and we've had terrible politicians for decades that don't want to, and also it's corrupt too. There's elements where money is going into their pockets, and then we have the corporates who these are private entities and they live off of conflicts and disasters, and it's called the disaster economy or the conflict economy, where whenever there's a conflict, they actually make a killing. And these people don't have a conscience. So they are very thrilled when there is a situation happening somewhere, because they know that their stocks are going to go up as they always have. So it's very, and they're not government controlled, and it's a free country, so anybody is allowed to set up a private company like that. Defense contractors and all sorts of elements, let's say. And it's hard to obviously crack down on those. You don't want to nationalize these things, but those are some of the culprits. But I just think that the government, the administration, for decades has not had the political will you need revolutionary, you need people like Kennedy, to say enough with this. But look what happened to him when he opened his mouth. So the
Yes. I
deep
think that
state,
was our last real president.
that was the last real president, and the deep state ain't happy. They were
No,
not happy.
not even a political person or anything.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not into that. It's just this is
with
where our conversation is leading. So,
yes, no, you're right, and with Obama, the right things were said, but even his administration and even his whole period, when you look at actual things that were done,
Mm,
including all of these conflicts and all that, there was no progress. There were also very, very poor foreign policy decisions made even during that stint as well. It's no better than now. So this is like across party lines, and all of that stuff.
mhm.
Now, which brings us to the aspect of spirituality, which you're right. I mean, in spirituality, it's not the mind or the body. We are not the mind or the body. We are the soul that resides within. So we have to look at each other as the spirit, right? And that
Yes.
spirit is eternal, right? And it never dies, and it just sort of transforms. And that we are all connected. We're energetically connected. Our spirits are connected. There is an interconnectedness and oneness amongst ourselves. And I think the day we realize that how much connected and deeply connected we are, that's when we will stop all of this rubbish. Because in spirituality, another concept is Maya. Maya, I'm sure you must have heard of that word. It means
Mhm.
illusion. It's a Sanskrit word, but it means illusion. And it's like the Matrix. The Matrix was, hey, this is all some simulation, and we are here, and we are supposed to find the key. Well, Maya is the same thing. It's the illusion of life, and we are in this illusion. We have to play our parts, but it's like a divine play going on, and we have our role to play. But we are not the role. We are not the identity. We are not, our ego. We have to realize that we are only the soul and nothing else. So we are not there yet, though, as a planet. There are many people obviously who are awake. There are some cultures that think like this, which is good, but there are so many others who don't. This is all very, when I talk about spirit or soul being eternal, or I do talk about reincarnation, and because from my belief system or things, from my understanding of life and God, if the soul is eternal, it never dies, that means that it comes back until it liberates itself. And that's the concept of reincarnation. I don't believe that when we die, we just disappear and this is just some scientific project. I think it's so much deeper than that. And that does explain the miracles of life. And why do we have these why are we so sensitive to energy? We are energetic beings because we are all we are is energy, right? So I think we have to start thinking in those terms. But when you get into religion, there are many religions that don't think like that. If you tell them that I believe in the spirit and all this divine connection, they'll say it's the work of the devil or something like that.
Yeah, it's so true.
Sadly. So this is the problem, especially when you think about dogmatic monotheistic religions. They don't like this kind of thinking. When you look at I'm from India, and my faith is Hinduism. I'm Hindu. So in Hinduism, or also the other dharmic faiths, this is who we are. This is our understanding of life. So we are very comfortable with it, right? So we don't have angst that I see out here in America. People are like, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here? In India, even the beggar person on the street, they may have nothing, but they know why they're here. They understand this concept of spirit and Maya and all that. They know about Atma, which is spirit, and all these things in a very, very deep way. It's kind of in their DNA. Which is beautiful. So there is this beautiful acceptance and surrender of life that I don't see over here, but I see it in the East, which
Mhm.
they may have nothing, maybe they're very poor, it doesn't matter. They have a glimmer of hope in their eyes. There is a warmth and a happiness there that I would struggle to find even amongst the billionaires sometimes in the West. I have seen this with my own eyes, this stark contrast, which is a shame. You have everything here, and yet people are miserable, and there people have nothing, and yet they're more humane and more present, I think. than people here may ever dream to be, right? And actually,
Mm-hmm.
in this country, we're lucky we can have both. I feel that I can have both because, I'm in Hollywood, right? So I'm very much around glamour and I enjoy it. I'm not attached to it, but I'm not some monk. I'm certainly not a nun. I'm very much in the luxury and glamour, and I own it, and I enjoy it for everything that it is. But I know that it's not me. So I know that I am just the deep soul inside and the divine consciousness, and that's really where I sort of come from. So you can actually have your cake and eat it too, but you have to understand that you can do both. I think coming to that conclusion itself is not an easy one. I think for especially what I found is America is a very, very religious country. People are very puritanical here. These people are people of faith, which is beautiful, but you have to expand your mind and realize that there are other ways of thinking and being that
Mm-hmm.
are not a threat. They're not incompatible
Mm-hmm.
with you, and they only add to you. And this is the best place where you can actually have a good life, and plus also be genuinely spiritual too. You can't find this honestly in many places around the world, but I think they're sometimes the dogmatic thinking stops them from
Mm-hmm.
kind of you know yes.
Opening up their mind. I was religious growing up.
Mm,
And I think that this is generations and generations of like teachings. This came to us as a people by force because we were spiritual
yes,
people as well
yes.
and had no religion. We understood that there was a connection and that whatever you want to refer to, God or
Mm,
the universe, whatever you people want to call it, was in our hearts and we had a connection. It was forced upon people.
mm,
And I think that Christianity is something that is very popular
mm.
in the United States. And it's like if you are a spiritual person, sometimes they think that something's wrong. But when people
No, it's like you're this is the work of the devil. Oh my god, you're gonna hell, oh my
yeah.
god. Like you do yoga and they're like, oh my god, honey child, that's like the work of the devil. And I'm like, are you
Yeah.
yoga is the most spiritual thing you can do? And I wouldn't say that it's, I don't like to call yoga religious. I mean, it's a spiritual practice. I mean, it has a source. You don't have to be a Hindu to practice yoga, and nor are you going to become a Hindu by practicing yoga and saying namaste and all that. This is, universal greetings, and this is knowledge for the world. I think you can be a proud Christian and do yoga and have respect for both. Also, another thing is there are people, this is actually not with Christians, but there may be with the atheist types or other people, that what's happening there is they want to kind of disassociate yoga with its roots. So they're saying, no, yoga is just exercise. So that's not true either. I find that quite disrespectful to the source because it came from a certain kind of ideology. And although I don't think it's religious, it's certainly of a certain kind of wisdom. It's Hindu, it's Indian, whatever, Vedic, Indic, dharmic, whatever word you want to use, it's all the same. But you can't say that it's not that, oh, it's just some universal bunch of poses, exercises. It's not that either. So the truth is actually in between, because I meet people on the other side too, and I don't like that either. I think both people are being very offensive because I happen to be a Hindu and this is my culture, right? So I don't like either. And both are dangerous. But certainly from a Christian point of view, they need to know that it's okay to embrace, respect, have mutual respect with other kinds of spiritual and wisdoms beliefs out there. They're not threatening Christianity in any way, some maybe, but the kind of spirituality I'm talking about, not threaten at all. In fact, it only adds, I think.
We were born with intuition and an instinct, and people stop relying on their instincts. What I learned growing up as a Christian is that being really religious doesn't make you
A better person.
right. Yeah,
It
it does
doesn't.
not. It does not. And being super religious doesn't mean that you're going to have, necessarily like a better life than your
Yeah,
neighbor who may
who
not.
might not be that spiritual. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
people like in a dogmatic monotheistic religions, they connect, I think, religion with spirituality and philosophy, and seeking. So faith and seeking become two different things. Whereas when you look at like the dharmic traditions, they are one. I think that's the big difference. So here, people think, oh, if I'm questioning, if I'm seeking the truth, if I'm on a quest, on this pursuit, to on the spiritual path, or it's taking away from my religion, or my religion is telling me not to ask questions, or so on. And in fact, I'm sure the religion is also asking you to question and seek and all that. It's just that if they don't focus on that, or the clerics don't push that, because then nobody will be coming to church. They will just be meditating and going within and sort of questioning and seeking, right? But here they're encouraged to come out somewhere and like you said, find the answers outside of yourselves, whereas the answer really lies within.
It really does. And you hit the nail right on the head. It's
Mm-hmm.
financial. I know that people can get the answers however you want to look at it. Praying, hey, absolutely great.
Mm.
Meditating, great. There's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like when you meditate, you get the answers. When you are praying, you're talking in your head constantly and you're sitting there asking for a million things, asking for material
For
things.
material things, yeah,
Yeah.
not for your spiritual liberation, and also not for the sort of upliftment of society. Or
Exactly. Once I understood the way that it truly works, it really helped me so much because I realized that I get the answers. I hear the answers. They're inside of me when I meditate, but you get the answers. They're inside of you.
yes,
I believe that
yes,
we were born with a knowing.
yes,
We came here knowing, and we all have a mission. I feel
yes.
that, we
to
we
to
have,
to remember we are here to
yes,
remember our true authentic divine self. And on the path we meet spiritual leaders, we meet enlightened souls that actually have been there, done that, and they can guide us, and they do guide us. And that's when you meet a guru, you meet some sort of spiritual master who he's the real deal. He has been there, and he all he does is guide you on the right path. And we all have to walk that path alone. It's a solo path. This is a lonely personal journey that everybody goes through each lifetime. And they'll meet people on their path. I truly believe that there's no such thing as a coincidence. I think everyone you meet is here for a purpose. They are here to teach you, or sometimes you're here to teach them. So even all the most negative experience, it's meant to be. I believe in destiny. I believe in fate. I think a lot of these things are pre-written in a way. I think we have free will as well, because what is pre-written will happen to us, but how we choose to respond to it is your free will. So that's where you get to have free will as well as destiny. That I think life is both. It's not one or the other. We just need to know what's important in life. I think that's where people, especially out here in the West, because of the way that we are sort of trained, let's say, they seek different things in life. They're looking for money, fame, pleasure, status, identity, all those things, and not contentment, bliss, fulfillment, all those good things, right? So there's a situation. And I think at some point they need to awaken to their real purpose. And then you see a huge shift even within them. They just want different things. They end up trying to find out what their real purpose here is on earth. And then
mm-hmm.
when they find it, they dedicate, I think, their life to it. And we've seen so many great people in America do that. For the whole world, they've dedicated their dedicated service, and they're really doing their thing. And it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It absolutely is. How hard was it or difficult was it to transition from the East to the West?
Oh, so I was born in the Middle East. So I was born in Dubai. And so I lived in the Middle East 15 years of my life. And then my family moved to Europe and then to Australia. And then I came to America. So yeah, I moved, I would say, from the Middle East to Europe to like Northern America, So I never really lived in the East, although my family is from there. So my spirituality and my understanding of the world is very Indian, let's say, and Hindu specifically, or dharmic, that's a good word for it. So my understanding of life, of spirituality, and all of that comes from a certain sort of wisdom system. But I've lived around the world. I've traveled to a lot of places, and I bring my philosophy with me, and it's universal, it's eternal. No matter where I go, I know that my wisdom helps me, my connection helps me, my just the deep connection I have with my higher self, with the world and the divine consciousness itself, I know will always guide me. And I have a lot of faith in that. And it's never kind of left me. I've never kind of wavered from that. An interesting move was the move from corporate to the entertainment industry. That was definitely a shift. And then from the entertainment world to the spiritual kind of, let's say, public intellectual space, that's also a big shift. Those two are quite disconnected. I've jumped around, and now I have all aspects almost, because I'm still very corporate, because I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own company. I work for myself. Everything I do, I'm a CEO, and I have to be accountable, and this is a brand as well, in that way. So, my business experience has also never left me. Then I think these things always remain with these amazing experiences and skills. Nothing is ever a waste. Just like I think everyone you meet is for a purpose, I think every experience is also there to teach you as well, right? You learn about life, about your strengths and weaknesses, and so on. And I think that human experience is a really, really powerful one.
I definitely agree with that 100%. You mentioned that you have a company.
Mm-hmm.
Is your company a company that you want to share?
Yes, yeah, sure. Well, when I say company, I just mean I set it up that way because I don't have the entire time that I've been here. So for the last 15 years, I have worked only for myself. I've never had a day job. I have not had an employer. I've just had many, many projects, gigs, contracts, shoots, whatnot. But I'm somebody who's a real entrepreneur, and I like that. I prefer to work on interesting projects, collaborating with interesting people, and that is much more exciting and has a lot of variety to me than being employed by some company for I would go crazy because I did that. It gave me no fulfillment. I was so frustrated and so unfulfilled. So my company is called Omnia, and Omnia obviously means all pervasive. It's kind of everywhere, in a way, which is perfect. And everything I do, like my show or my speaking or my book, or when I have my show, my TV show that I'm developing, that'll come under this umbrella of my company. So excited about that. I think there's a lot of interesting things coming up for me. I find my own path also. New doors are opening even for me. Things that are probably I never expected. Like, for example, I've always been involved in spirituality and international relations and globalization for many, many years. But one issue or area or sort of topic that I've never touched is feminism, women's empowerment and sexuality. All these things are not things that I sort of had any experience with or even any interest, I think, in terms of I never spoke or wrote about them. I was never involved. But suddenly they've fallen into my lap because I think that for some reason these things need to be spoken about, and you just don't have good ambassadors. You have to be very brave, I think, if you're going to speak about whether it's sexuality or feminism or whatnot. You have to be a brave woman, especially being a young woman of color with especially also a different ethnicity, different religion, different background completely. To speak on these topics is, that's a rare thing. But the good thing is that there's not too many I don't know anybody else doing it either. So it's good, I can have my voice. I'm having very hot conversations that I think men are too scared to have with women, because I've been invited to speak on all male audience group. They only have male speakers, and the entire audience is made up of men only. But a person like me, they have had me because they want to hear what I have to say. And also, I think I'm not adversarial to them. I'm not demonizing them. Like, I think a lot of sort of, I've seen this feminist activists do that. I don't do that. I'm very respectful. And they see that and they appreciate that a lot. So they welcome me, and then whatever I have to share, they are completely kind of in agreement with, which is very interesting. And they see me as somebody who's being bold and maybe speaking things that they're too scared to say out in public. Because there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's also a lot of females doing their thing, but you don't always agree with everyone. Your sort of worldview isn't. Some people are just very dogmatic. They're saying, even with the female stuff, they're like, no, this is how it is. I'm a feminist. I'm this, I'm that, and I don't want. I have no interest in speaking to men or hearing their point of view, or I'm of this faith or that faith, and blah blah blah, or I'm an atheist, and they're so dogmatic, and they're not open at all, with anything. But your show was so, and I thought you were having international conversations, with people from the episode. I believe she was Australian because I'm from Australia, so I recognize her accent. But I was like, this is fantastic. You need international voices, and also varied point of view. But everything was upliftment. It was about empowerment, spirituality, happiness. How do we, these are the craziest times I think we've ever lived in. How do we make resolve and sense of it? How do we find how do we sort of get there in the end? I think people are struggling, and the one thing that can help us is this sort of, like conversations, I think deep conversations.
This week I had a lady on the show she's a feminist, and that's the first time I've ever had.
Oh, I missed that. I must listen to that episode.
And it was a very different type of show.
So I think women are multifaceted. We are complex, we are layered, we are nuanced. Men are as well, but we are to another level, whole other level. And there's just so much to us. And I just don't think that you can have a women's show, like maybe two women talking or more than two, discussing issues. So many things will come in, and I don't think you can isolate them, even in my case, I talk about things that have nothing to do with each other, politics, spirituality, media. These are like they're all dangerous topics. They're all like hot potatoes. But to me, I see the thread, and I know that in some way they're all there. There is no other. There's a beautiful spiritual saying where some disciple asks a guru, what about them? What about what they think? And the guru says, who's they? There is no they. There is only you. The world is a mirror. There is no out there. That is so powerful. Like, again, the Maya, the Matrix, right? So this is all some kind of illusory simulation that we're in. I mean, it's very real. It's a real simulation, but that's all that it is. And there is no other. When someone hurts you, if you feel hate towards someone, know that there is no they out there. It's just aspects of yourself that you're upset with. I see a lot of violence, a lot of hatred right now. It's not that people are hating each other as entities. They are hating aspects of themselves that they can't comprehend with. They are trying to make sense of it all, and because they don't have the answers or nobody's guiding them, there's angst, and they just lash out on the other because all they have is the person in front of them, right? So it seems like everybody's really playing up and kind of going for it when the pain is really within, and it's with aspects of yourself. I find that the loudest people sometimes, the people who make a lot of noise, they're actually very hurt. That's why they are louder. So just because somebody is shouting and making a big hoo-ha doesn't mean they have the answers or they're wiser or anything like that. Just know that they're hurting. And all you can do is give them compassion. If somebody is giving you offense and hate, just know that it's not you. They're hurt. They need love. They need understanding. All your job is to give compassion and empathy, because that's all that you can give. That's all that they need. But I think we have, as a planet, we have lost that ability to have empathy and compassion and put ourselves in other people's shoes and just give them that love and understanding. We are losing that. We are not doing that at all. And that's why I see all around the world all these tense situations bubbling up.
I agree with you, but I mean, you're on point of what you're saying. I want to go back up a little bit. We're going to move into a lighter area.
Okay. Yeah, this is all too deep, too heavy.
Good stuff, though. It's necessary. I love hearing your opinion. I'm enjoying the conversation. You mentioned that you were born in Dubai.
Yes.
Do you know I want to go to Dubai? I watch it. I watch YouTube videos on Dubai.
Well, you will love it as a tourist. You will love if you go there for a week, which I recommend. I don't recommend a month or anything like that. And I obviously don't recommend a day. I think a week, 10 days, honestly, a week is enough. It's very small. There's a lot to do, though. You will love the food, the shopping, the hospitality, the weather. Great place. It's safe. I travel around the world alone, so I know which places are safe for women and which are not. Dubai is one of the safer places, actually, in an interesting way. Even though it's it's in the Middle East. I mean, they have a different religion there. The police state, believe it or not. One has to be very careful where you don't want to break their rules. But I think most people are respectful. They actually like foreigners a lot. But Dubai has changed. It's evolved. I think it's gotten better now than it was 30 years ago. That's for sure. Dubai, Emiratis, that's what they call themselves. They're waking up. There's a lot of Indians who have been in Dubai for the last 50, 60 years. They sort of helped build that country. But I think we are seeing a change in the way that these local Emiratis treat Indians. For example, I think they respect them. I think there's a deeper appreciation of the culture, of their faith, of just everything about India and Indians. I think there was a time when they sort of didn't give them the respect that they deserved. I think now, because the world dynamic is changing and the world power is changing, you have new powers emerging. And I just think that Emiratis are very wise, and they're seeing what's coming up and what's big and working. And they see Indians as a real ally to them and good people who stay out of trouble, and there's nothing negative about them. So they actually are learning to respect and like them a lot. So I recommend you go to Dubai. I think you'll like it a lot. I think if you stay there for 3 months, though, I think then you will see cracks in their society, because they have a lot of interesting cracks that you don't see in the beginning. You only learn much later, and you learn when you live there.
Such as?
Hypocrisy. It's like it seems very liberal, seems very forward. When you live there, you'll see bigotry, you'll see racism, you'll see you're talking, America has racial tensions. There's a lot of racial tensions in the Middle East among other, nations, even in that region, right? So like different Arab nations, nationalities, there's a lot, like Egyptians, Emiratis, they don't all get along, and even they're all Muslim, so Islam is the dominant religion there, but within Islam you have a lot of sects. These sects don't get along with each other. Even when you think about terrorism and violence, many times it's one sect against the other. It's not even about other faiths altogether. It's just, and you'll see how they treat Asians. You will see how they treat the Africans. There's a lot of Sudanese, Somalians.
Do they not treat them good?
Yes, sorry to say that, but even if you are a Muslim even if you are Muslim, but you're dark Muslim compared to them, they somehow just don't put you up on the same level as they would a fair Muslim or a white Muslim or some Muslim that's the same kind of shade, which is shocking. And you just think that this sort of stuff doesn't happen within one religion, but it does. I think it might happen also in the West too. You have devout Christians, but there's a white Christian and there's an African American. They're both Christian, they're both devout, but sometimes even there's racial tensions among them. So these things I think you'll see. It seems like it's very liberal, but you still can't kiss in public. I mean, you're not really supposed to kind of hold hands and make out. Alcohol is not allowed there.
So people can't go there and like be on a vacation and have like a glass of wine?
Only in hotels. So you cannot buy alcohol yourself. So you can only go to a restaurant and go to the bar in the restaurant and order. They will happily pour you a glass of whatever you want, and they have great drinks. And by the way, they have fantastic hotels, fantastic restaurants with a bar service. Not every restaurant has that license, but a lot do. You can order room service, you can have as much champagne as you want, but it's very regulated. You have sort of nightclubs, but again, they're very different, So, when you stay there for 3 months, it's a different world. Dubai is actually the most liberal out of all of them. You go to other Islamic, Middle Eastern countries, Arab countries, they don't even have that. They don't even have there's no alcohol at all. Women have to dress up in the whole thing. They can't drive. Forget about being seen alone.
Oh, you can't drive?
Most of the Arab countries you can't. Dubai, you can. Absolutely you can, but that's a new thing. But many others you can't. There was a time when they couldn't even vote. There was a time when they couldn't even work. It's only recently that they started, so this is what I'm saying, that you look at these Middle Eastern countries and it's like a mirage. It's like an oasis. You think, oh my God, it's so fabulous. There's money, there's these 7-star hotels. It's all wonderful. And then you go there, you spend a few months, and then you travel around and you think, oh my God, like, what is this society? So that's what I mean by you will see everything. You'll see the good, the bad, especially the ugly,
Wow.
And I think you might be a bit disappointed with the ugly, I think. And I don't think you want to see that. So a week, you'd stay at the best hotels, go to the best restaurants, go to all these rooftop bars, have a ball. There's all expats there, do that. Go to the Dubai Mall, go to a safari, shop, buy some gold, go to some fantastic Indian restaurants. And then that's about it.
Wow. So basically, it's probably prejudice around the world.
Well, different countries, I think, have different prejudices. I think some countries are more liberal. I mean, I go to Sweden a lot. Sweden is a very liberal place, very open. This is the opposite of all of this, safe for women. Women and men have a lot of parity there. But this is interesting. You go to Asia and you have a situation where women are princess, like they are, if you go out with a man, even if he's your friend, he will always pay for the meal or the bill or whatever. Gentlemen will open the door, get you flowers, even if it's just a friend. Like there's just a assumption that the man is going to be a gentleman. Like, this is even a little bit in the Middle East, but definitely in the East, all over Asia and sort of all of that good stuff. Go to Sweden, the woman will pay for herself. Sometimes she'll pay for the guy. I mean, she will be offended if the man offers to treat her. So I think it's a little bit the other way. It's like there is too much parity there where the women are almost equal to the men. And I know we say that we want it, but do you want to be treated like a man? I don't think we do. So when I talk about feminism, this is what I talk about. Because these are very uncomfortable topics to have, especially when you have all these activists who are going on about equality, 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 and then you get equality. And then if you really want equality, there are many situations where women are getting the same pay for half the amount of work because they're smaller. They are just physically not, in sports you see this, right? Sport is less physically demanding of women, but we have come to a point where sometimes the check is the same amount. And you don't see the men complaining. And if a man did complain, he would be butchered. That would be the end of him. But I mean, if you want real equality, it should be equal pay for equal work. So it also means that if a man is, working 100 hours for the same job and you only want to work 50, you're not going to get the same check as him. He's going to get more. And if you want to get the same check as him, are you willing to work 100 hours a week? Some women are. Good for them. Many women are not willing to do that. So, this is where you got to be careful with this whole feminism thing. I think they talk about equality and they don't actually know the nuance, right? So I was saying, you go to Sweden and it's like almost like she's like a guy, So now you're seeing something very weird happening in Sweden where the Swedish men don't like it. I go to Thailand a lot. All I see is Swedish men. I go to Sri Lanka, I go to, even when you go to India, whatever, it's full of, full of German men, it's full of Swedish men, it's full of Dutch men. It's just the Western European men who just don't want this foo-foo feminism. They want a feminine woman. They want this princess. They want this soft, woman, and you find that in Asia, and that's where they go. So for all of this talk of equality, guess what? You end up losing the man. You end up losing, the man is not even interested, either he wants to be alone or he's going to go elsewhere where he's going to find something a little bit more palatable. So this is what I see happening in the West, and I guess what America is going that way.
Mm-hmm. I was just digesting it all, where I was just really engaged and listening. And then I was kind of wondering, like, you made me think, like, what do I really want? And what is my stance on that? And it's something that I had not really thought heavily about. My life has been my life, and I'm married with children.
Wow.
And my husband is in our relationship. He's not a controlling type man.
I like, that's the best, where it's confidence.
Yeah.
But a quiet confidence.
Yeah.
It's not alpha, it's not domineering, not dominating, and certainly not abusive. It's just a person who's strong, very confident, knows who he is, but is going to let you shine and be in the background, and sort of a quiet confidence, and it's not overt. I find that very attractive. I don't like this overt machoism, and I also don't like the doormat. The guy who's like some pansy, too soft, is just too weak. Too much of that going on, especially in LA.
Oh, wow, that's terrible. Yeah. So he definitely encourages me. We support each other. And like, he has a different passion, and I don't know, I like him. I like him.
Okay, go for it.
This is something that my listeners have no idea.
Oh, I love it.
In the 7th grade, he was my boyfriend.
Wow, your childhood sweetheart.
And it was innocent. Yes, it was very innocent. We just talked on the phone. We went to a 4th of July event, and we watched fireworks. It was a summer of, I was going into the 8th grade, or it might have been a summer of 8th grade. And then we would talk on the phone, and that was it. We moved, and then there was a whole lot that happened, and so I lost touch with him. I grew up, married someone else, had children with him, and then things didn't work out like it. And that's a whole nother show. And so, it was really tough, so finally I got out and came back together, and we had a child together. So I have 2 sets of kids.
Wow. These are all, like I said, everyone you meet for a reason. They're your teacher. They're here to learn. I think both of these relationships are fated for you. Clearly, it's karmic. And I think it's beautiful. And I think you have beautiful children out of that, and you are here to learn and grow. And I think the universe will give you the experiences that help you grow the most. So sometimes it feels like, why did I get this lot in life? Why did I get the cards that I'm dealt with? It seems like I got a bad hand, but actually everybody gets the hand that they deserve, and you just have to play it to the best of your abilities, and just know that there are no mistakes. There are no coincidences. It's just all perfectly divine. Yeah.
I do believe that to a certain extent too, because what went through my mind was, I could just imagine the person listening in on the show going, seriously, when I was 3 years old and I was raped by, my uncle, or when I was 5, and, and their thought process on that. And so I definitely think that it is, like, to a certain extent, in a way, because I think I had that conversation recently with someone, and I was just like, whenever I say that, in my mind, I'm thinking not of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. Everyone is going through their sort of karmic samskaras. Samskaras are karmic imprints, karmic patterns that we come into the world with. And based on, again, this is where the soul is sort of eternal. That philosophy, if you think about that, it means that the soul, it has been and it will be, so it comes in with past sort of imprints, and then you end up with the life that you do this time. And then what you do in this lifetime, if you liberate, the concept is that you don't come back. That's it. It's all good. You merge with universal consciousness. But if you don't get the point, you got to come back. So then you're sort of, that's where this concept of reincarnation comes in. The spirit just takes another form. That's why I have had personally myself, I've had past life regressions. I have remembered things from past lives. You may think it's crazy, but I know that I've had, this soul has been around. I've been around the block, So sometimes I'll meet someone and I know that I've known them from another lifetime, or things have happened and I think I've done this. That's why I don't even try and boom boom. I'm a genius or a master at it. These sort of things. And so it's all connected. We just need to trust, I think, in spirit and in our karmic patterns, and just love and respect, love ourselves. I think what we could all learn from is being kinder to ourselves first, and then to each other. Because I think one thing that we are not being today is, I think everybody's mean, very mean-spirited energy out there. People are hurting, and they're being hurtful, right? So we have to understand that there is no other. So you must not hurt yourself.
When we talk about reincarnation, it's something that when I was a little girl, I always believed that it existed. It was something real. And I've had some experiences in my life where I was like, I always knew that there was something greater than us in this universe. What I'm going to share with you right now is that when I was about the age of 5, I was outside playing, and there was a dog that got hit by a car. He wasn't dead. He was just like yelping in pain. They picked the dog up and they went and they dug this hole in the ground. And I don't know if they buried the dog alive or if he actually died. I wasn't up close to see, but I was watching them dig this hole in the ground. The man whose dog it was, he was crying because the dog had got hit. Like, it was like a real bad hit.
Aww.
And so I was 5, standing there watching them dig this hole, and they put the dog in the ground. I watched them put dirt over the dog to cover the dog up. And so that night, when it was time to go to bed, this is back in the day when I could look out the bedroom window and the sky would be lit up with stars. Because I don't see that today where I live, where they're lit up like that. And I would look up and go, wow, there's a zillion stars. And so I was leaning on the windowsill and just looking up. And then I looked over there in that area and I go, oh, wow, that's where the dog is buried. And when I was staring over there, I seen something glowing. I'm telling you the honest truth.
I love it.
And I was like, what is that? And I start looking close. It was ribs, like a rib cage that was glowing. And it was literally only that, like a rib cage. And I was like, oh my God, that's the dog's ribs. And so it was lit up the color of the stars, like that same type of light, the same fluorescent, whatever light. I watched it rise up, and it was moving really slow. And I watched it until I could not see it anymore, disappear in the sky somewhere. And I was like, wow. And I was only 5 years old, even though it was a dog. And people say, well, a dog doesn't matter because they can't talk. They don't. And all this, but I seen that.
Wow.
And so then another time when my oldest son was a baby, we were sitting there on the bed with my first husband and we were eating pizza and we seen the same thing. It appeared in the house, and I never did drugs. It's not like I was like on some kind of a trip or anything where I was high. We didn't even drink alcohol. We used to just drink soda, Kool-Aid, eat. Thing appears, like it just comes to the door, and it's a skeleton. This one had the full body skeleton, like where you could see the leg part, but it was glowing the same like the stars. And it walked to my son's bed, and it just stayed there for a second, and it walked out the other side and disappeared. And so I was so glad that my ex-husband was able to see that, because I didn't want to run around going, I seen this or that. That was crazy.
Wow.
So there are other things that exist in this universe that are not human beings, that come back, that are light, or right when they're passing through,
wow.
Yes.
So that there are miracles, that there are things that you can't explain. And obviously for yourself, I think you're a sensitive person. I think you have empathy. You might even be some kind of empath where you're somehow feeling pain or other people's energies out there. That's why when that
Mm-hmm.
happened, you could feel the dog or you could feel this man, right? So that's a gift. To feel, to be empathetic is a gift. Not everyone has it. And sometimes you don't have it when you're young. Like in my case, I didn't have it for much of my childhood. Let's say I ate something that was opened up and developed in me a bit later in life, but then it was very, very stark, it was kind of very deep. So now I feel everything, and it's very deep. So I have to be careful and not take it as mine, and realize that it's not my pain. It's out there. I can only give it love. I'm not the pain, and it's not me. So it's happening around me. And I have to be around good people. I'm very positive and
Ah,
uplifting.
me too. I'm the same
But
way.
I was just saying, I can't be around people who are downers. I will get hurt. Like I will feel down for no reason. I soak up their energy, and I have to be very careful. And I've conscientiously, I think, selected my company and my circles and people I interact with over the past several years. So now I'm really meeting good people. And when I am in a negative situation, I think I have the courage to just move on from there, kind of remove myself from the situation.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way where I can't be consumed by a ton of negative energy
Mm,
like that on a daily basis, where it's just, I have to definitely separate that and know how much I'm able to take and back off and like, okay, I won't be able to take these phone calls. And I've had so many other things. My point was that I knew it as a young little girl that something more existed, and I knew there were evil people or that were not right, and that they just were not right. And love really is the
yes.
answer, and
That's
not.
it. That's the purpose of life. People always say, what's the meaning of life? It's knowing that all there is love, and that we are all one. These two things, if you understand them on the deepest level, from a cellular level, like from the depths of your heart, from every cell of your being, if you not just understand this, but if you actually live life from that place, that's what's going to ultimately take you to liberation,
Mm,
moksha, like liberation of the soul and the ego. And when you realize that everyone's connected, all that there is love, and all that there is energy, you realize as well that this is all an illusion, and the only thing important is just to know who you are and to be love, and fulfill your dharma. And
mm-hmm.
you must do karma. Karma means action. So all of these concepts are very intertwined, and but it's that realization that you need to have of the makeup of it, which most people sadly never even get to experience. That they live their whole life, and I see this a lot happening in the left. Sorry, in the West, people live their whole lives, and they just don't have this worldview. They don't have this lived experience of kind of looking at life this way, and their whole life has just been about the mundane and the material, and they're born and they live and they die, and that is it, you know but all these other things are there for you to find and explore and immerse into, and sort of really realize in the end.
I heard that there's more people on the planet now than there ever has been. Do you think that's true?
That's true, because we've never, is it 8 billion now? We've
Yeah.
we've never had 8 billion. We had a few, there was a time when it was 1 billion, 2 billion. And I think in the last sort of few decades we have gone up. We've gone up a few billion, let's say. There's still a lot of space on the planet, though. There's a lot of parts of the planet that are uninhabited. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So, but that's a good thing, and we shouldn't be turning all those regions into habited land, and put people in there. Then we will be out of space.
Going back to the karmic, what is your belief when people are reincarnated and they come back here?
Mhm.
What are they doing?
We come in, we are reborn with samskaras. Samskaras are these karmic imprints, right? So based on where we've been in the past, how many ever lifetimes, and what we have done, how far we have come, how, especially the last lifetime, how you have been, in what sort of person were you, that's your immediate lifetime. That has the greatest effect on you today, so on this lifetime. So you come in with this sort of blueprint, and based on that blueprint, you will meet certain people, you will have certain experiences that help you learn and grow your life lessons and your blind spots. We all have blind spots, and these the blueprint just helps you to identify, the blind spots, and these things manifest, and they're only here to help you grow. Just know that it's all here for love and growing. It's nothing more than that. Don't get attached to even the good stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, you have all the experiences that you need to have to heal from past karmas and whatnot, and also to get to take you to the point where you realize again that this is all love, and that we're all connected, and ultimate goal of life is moksha. So when you really understand these points on the deepest level, that's when it happens. You kind of have that awakening and so on, and then you're sort of in this state of bliss the whole time. That's kind of they call it samadhi, which is a state of bliss. And mahasamadhi is you're in the state of bliss, and then ultimately you pass on, but you are completely fulfilled when you pass on. So that's joy. So things happen for a reason. I think we even all of this COVID stuff, this is all part of the divine plan, so we can wake up and more love and light.
If someone was joining us right now on a panel and we explained something like that to them,
Mm-hmm.
what do you say to the mother who has, the little girl who
Yeah.
was shot, or the little
Yes.
boy?
That's a good question. And people say, well, what about all those starving children in Africa? So I think one needs to be careful and not, because there are skeptics and some sort of militant atheists or just people of science, or so they say, who actually try to discard everything that we've spoken about. And they use weird examples that are very disingenuous, saying, you can't explain the starving children that die of a famine. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of this. Well, firstly, God has nothing to do with it, because you can, be an atheist and still believe in this sort of everything that I'm saying. At least if you're some sort of an Indic kind of atheist, not if you're an Abrahamic kind of monotheistic, then no, you wouldn't. But if you are, like
Which is
for
over
example,
here. That's
yeah,
here in the States. We're Abrahamic.
yes, the Semitic, yeah, for sure. So, but you look at India or Hinduism or something like that, Buddhism, there it's not about God at all. You can, not believe in God and still believe in this concept of energy and reincarnation, because it's a different worldview. So that's one thing. You have to realize that the worst situation, even in the young girl that has gone through incest or rape or all these horrific things, I hate to say it and put it like this, but that person goes through the life lessons that they do, so that they become forgiving, loving, and as compassionate as they can be, based on where they have been and where they're at. They have to have these horrible experiences to open them up to the highest level. And some people don't even make it, because it was too much. But every horrific experience, again, is here to help us be the most we can be. I think this is so important. So unless you take it that way, you will just feel pity. You feel sorry for yourself, and also you will discard these things happening to other people. It becomes like a straw man argument. I see this a lot here in the West with some of these, whether actually with religious circles who don't believe in other religions, or with atheist type people or skeptics who again don't believe in energy and the concept of spirit, where they can be very what's the word, dismissive of
Mm-hmm.
all this beauty, because this everything that I'm sharing with you, it's coming from a place of love, and I'm here, this should uplift somebody. It's a good thing. I'm not harming anyone with these points of view. It's at best, it's just neutralizes you, and there's nothing devious about it. And to dismiss it as something dangerous, I think that's very sad, because I don't think science has all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Real staunch scientists, well, I'm sorry, but what is there? You ask them the meaning of life, they have no answer. You ask them about miracles, they have no answer. And I mean, these people, are they really appreciating life. I mean, for me, every day is a miracle. I wake up expecting miracles. I believe in the unknown. I believe in the divine. I believe in this universal consciousness. So my life is joyful. The whole thing is mysterious. The whole thing is adventurous. Everything keeps revealing itself. That's the kind of life I live in, and I'm so blessed. But somebody who doesn't believe in any of that, well, what sort of a boring life is that anyway? It's so mundane. It's so robotic.
Yeah. I don't have all the answers. What I can share with people is that I do honestly believe that, there's something more to this life.
Yes.
There's, and I feel like it's the afterlife that,
Yes.
and I'm not telling anyone who's depressed to leave, because I feel like
Yeah.
you're supposed to die naturally, the way how it happens, not us
Yeah.
taking our own life. I
That's
don't,
right. I'm
yeah.
with you on that. You can't, and also, so in my understanding of spirituality, there is no afterlife in that way. So there's no heaven and hell in that way. I think because of the law of karma, if you do good, you either earn the reward in this lifetime, or you come back. Obviously, if you liberate, then there is no need for coming back. But most people don't get it in the first go, so they come back. But the concept of heaven and hell is within the earthly plane. There's no like sort of heaven, or there's no devil waiting for us.
You said you have a book coming out.
Yes. So thank you for bringing that up. It is, it's exactly what we spoke about earlier. It's on the concept of feminism. And I'm looking at what this movement is becoming, what this whole phenomena is becoming. And I'm looking at the pitfalls. It's actually a critique, so it's a hot potato. It's a controversial, contrarian kind of book. I think it's going to be a hot book. And being a young woman of minority, in every way, that should make it interesting. Let's see where the resistance is going to come from. I have a feeling that I'm going to get support from the most unlikeliest places, and I think I'm going to get resistance from places where I probably hoped for support. I'm already seeing this unfold.
Wow.
Yeah, I can feel it already. I think if this book does come out and do well, it will actually show the world. It'll be like a mirror to the world of society today, the hypocrisy and the
Why do
double
you say if? I thought, why did you said if this book does come out?
No, it will come out, but many people write a book, doesn't always become a bestseller, doesn't always become a thing, right? Some books do well, some don't.
I
So
think yours is going to do well.
I hope so. Again, I have to get the right sort of, I mean, I think I will do a good job writing it, but you got to get the right people to pick it up. And also it's a controversial thing. Not everybody will be brave enough to have it kind of run with it, so
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that the right people collaborate with me, the publisher, agent, whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it will be interesting. I think people can have an honest conversation about what's going on, and I think it'll just be very healing. And I mean, I'm very brave. I can take it, so bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on, right? And so you mentioned earlier that you have did you say you have a podcast?
Yes, so I do. I used to have my own radio show called iHeartRadio. Sorry, The Eternal Hour on iHeartRadio, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And people can find me there if they just look up The Eternal Hour. I think it's available on most of the podcast provider platforms. And then I also have my own channel on YouTube, and called the Preity Experience. But you have to write in my name, Preity Upala. So it's Preity Upala. That's my full name. So if you type that, then you will find my channel on YouTube. And if you tune in, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of videos and hours of content. Very deep stuff, very much similar to what we've been discussing across the range of topics. And I'm having conversations with, I'm being interviewed by all kinds of media outlets around the world. So it's really good. I am so grateful that many people have watched the videos and subscribed, but I really hope people will check it out, subscribe, be a part of it, please. Be a part of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, so you've been doing this for a while if you have hundreds of videos.
I have not been doing this for a while, literally a few months.
You make
Yeah.
videos like every day?
No, but I got on YouTube a very, maybe 10 years ago, I think, I don't know, but I posted nothing. I was just a viewer. It's only, honestly, it's only late last year. When I first started the acting thing, I think I had a post on that, but it's really only last year that something happened and I just got very immersed and I just put out content. I don't put it out every day. I do regularly because I get interviewed a lot by a lot of people. So I always have the content. I have the footage, I have the content, and I, make sure that's put up. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a collection of almost, I wouldn't say all, but most of the conversations that I've had. And it's literally hundreds, so it's amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic, I'm not kidding, every day or every other day I've had a media engagement. So I've got, 20, 30, 40 things coming, that will all go up soon in a timely manner. But this is amazing. This is exactly the sort of thing that I want. So the pandemic has actually been very good for me.
Mm-hmm. I would have to agree with you that for myself and my personal life, I feel it has as well. I actually work outside the home on most, like that's how it was before everything happened. And now I work from home. And so it's
Mhm.
been really a good thing because I'm able to be here and
Yeah. Well,
mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful world ahead. I think it's all going to heal. We're going to heal from this. I am very positive, and people, when I speak to them, people who have been saying you are the first person I've spoken to that's been positive during this whole past 4 months. Like everybody is doom and gloom and angst and stuff, and here I am from day one. I've just been very, very uplifting and uplifted, and that
Mm-hmm.
hasn't gone down even once. So it's been really a miracle for me. I actually think I have. My content has reached, I think, more people than it ever has. Because I've been invited to give these lectures to university students around the world, and like tens of thousands of people have tuned in. Like sometimes I've given talks where 11,000 students tuned in live. I mean, this is crazy. This is a lot of people tuned in to hear what I had to say. And I have new fans, I have new admirers, new people who want to be connected with me and are waiting for my content and my book and my talks and all this wonderful stuff. So, from that level, it's been amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you this. What is your favorite food here in the States?
You mean so are you talking about American cuisine or can it be any?
Yes. Oh,
Okay, so
well, let's do both.
let's do both. Okay, so my favorite cuisine, ironically, is actually French. I love French food a lot because I like cream, butter, and pastries, and I like rich sauces. I like rich foods. So French is my favorite, and I like desserts a lot. Now, as far as American, so I'm not into pizza, hot dogs, burgers, all that stuff. But I mean, I like soul. I know it's not American, but I like soul food. I like, you know, food from the South. Maybe like I like sweet tea, cornbread. I mean, it's kind of Cajun, Creole, but
Oh, I love Creole food. That's where I'm from.
yeah, yeah, that food. But maybe that's maybe Caribbean, Cajun, Creole. But like the like in the South, you go soul foods. I think when you go to New Orleans, even that's a bit fusion though. But I like that cornbread. All sorts
Mm-hmm.
of exotic. I love spice, but I like all that sort of stuff. Not junk food. Yeah, and I mean, I'm a foodie. I have been all around the world eating and just devouring, good foods.
Yeah, that's really good.
But being in the industry, you usually get invited to a lot of events. Almost every day there is some kind of launch, premiere, meeting, something, and there's always food there, and catering and all of that good stuff. So, I've and open bar, champagne and all of that stuff if you're interested. So it's just we're so spoiled, I think, working in Hollywood, and also when you're on set, it's always good catering.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do for fun?
So I used to be a dancer, a salsa dancer. So that was my kind of cooling off. When I was in Sydney, I used to dance like 7 nights a week. It was crazy. But when I moved to LA, I not so much. I travel a lot. That is part of my fun thing. I read. I am very social. I go to a lot of events.
What is your favorite place to live?
That's such a good question. I've been to many places. My favorite place to travel, like visit, is Thailand. I think I've been there, I think, more than any other place. Certainly, I love Bangkok. I like Thailand a lot. Europe is great too. To live, look, America is a very special place. I think for me, karmically, it's the place for me. I hear this is where it's all going to happen. This is where my dharma is going to unfold. I'm going to come here to be who I came here to be in the world. And having said that, my hometown is Sydney, Australia, which I would I would recommend you going to Australia. Now, Australia is different. Australia loves foreigners. They especially love exotic people, and they especially, I think, like Australian men and women just love like kind of African Americans and all kinds of Africans and all that. They just love all exotic types. It's very different. So there, I know a lot of my African American friends, especially men, when they go to Australia, they like it a lot. They have a, they have a different reception over there, let's say. So it's good.
People wanted to find you. They're able to find you on.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. So on Facebook, I have a personal page, but I have a public figure page. It's Preity Üpala, Preity Upala. If you just type in that, you'll find the pages. My Twitter handle is Preity Üpala, and then on the YouTube, just type in my name, Preity Üpala, again the same spelling, and my channel will come up. So please subscribe and please go through the content. Now, because I write and speak, you can find all my articles as well. They're published all over the world. You have to type in my name and just write articles or media or journalist, or if there's a specific topic like politics or spirituality, if you type that in, all my literally hundreds and hundreds of pieces that I've written will pop up. So, go through them. You'll find, I think, what you're looking for. My interviews, same thing. My podcast, type in The Eternal Hour, or the Preity Experience. And you can find me on Medium as well. I have my own portal. I write a lot of my articles are put up there. My website is preetyupala.com. It's being redesigned as we speak, so it'll be live soon. Instagram is PreityU, so Preity, and the word U, the letter U. So that's me on social media. Please find me. I'll actually give you my email address, because in case people have questions or they want to invite me to speak somewhere or write somewhere or engage or discuss, please do so. My email address is missp.productions with an S at the end @gmail.com. So please email me, and I am so honored to share with you this evening, and I really hope that some of you will reach out and let me know what you thought about what we spoke about.
Thank you, Preity, so much for coming on Authentic Talks. You guys, that was an authentic talk. We talked about everything, every single thing. Well, email me, tag Preity on Instagram, Facebook. All of the information will be located in the show notes. You can also let me know what you think. What did you think about the show? Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Shanta with Authentic Talks.